simply not an occasion to celebrate. On the contrary, it is a very regrettable fact that after 6 decades, the presence of a peacekeeping force is still required on the island. But it is an occasion to acknowledge the valuable support of contributing countries, so please allow me to name them all in appreciation for their contributions. Argentina, Australia, Austria, Bangladesh, Barbados, Bolivia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Brazil, Bulgaria, Canada, Chile, China, Croatia, Czechia, Denmark, El Salvador, Finland, Germany, Ghana, Hungary, India, Indonesia, Ireland, Italy, Jordan, Kenya, Lithuania, Mongolia, Montenegro, Nepal, Netherlands, New Zealand, Norway, Pakistan, Paraguay, Peru, Republic of Korea, Romania, Russian Federation, Serbia, Slovakia, Slovenia, Sweden, Ukraine, the UK, and Uruguay. Dear friends, Excellencies, it is a distinct honor that this event today is taking place in the presence of His Excellency the Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Cyprus, as well as Deputy Military Advisor Major General Cheryl Pearce, who has graciously accepted our invitation to address the celebration. Without further ado, I give the floor to His Excellency Dr. for his intervention. Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ambassador, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you all for attending. It means a lot to us that you are here with us to commemorate what the Ambassador said, a sad anniversary, 60 years, but at the same time it's important to pay tribute to the servicemen and servicewomen that have been in Cyprus representing the United Nations. This contribution is also important because it points to the vital role of UN peacekeeping worldwide, and without a doubt has proven to be one of the most important tools and instruments of conflict mitigation and stabilization. For over 7 decades, peacekeeping operations have proved that multilateralism works, and UN peacekeepers around the world have helped countries to navigate a very difficult path, from conflict to peace, from instability to resilient security. The Republic of Cyprus is one of the few UN member states that is both a host country and a true contributor. And we can attest to the necessity of sustaining and supporting UN peacekeeping, particularly in the face of an ever-changing world with ever-evolving challenges. This year marks 60 years since the establishment of Unficyp and the arrival of the first UN contingent in Cyprus. Allow me briefly to go through the historical context. And this is in order to fully appreciate the value of the service provided. In December 1963, armed clashes broke out in Cyprus, and the UN Security Council was seized on the matter. Unficyp was established on the 4th of March 1964, pursuant to Security Council Resolution 186 and with the consent of the Republic of Cyprus. The force was tasked to preserve both international peace and security, to use its best efforts to prevent a recurrence of fighting, and as necessary to contribute to the maintenance and restoration of law and order and a return to normal conditions. End of quote. In terms of time span, the force was initially given a 3-month mandate, and it's been 16 years. Today, the Republic of Cyprus is hosting one of the longest-running peacekeeping operations in the world. Let me now turn to the substantive work and contribution of the force. And the point of reference in relation to that is the summer of 1974. Unficyp's contribution has been extremely valuable at that time. We know of the force's tireless efforts to limit the suffering of civilians and refugees, of its attempts to broker local ceasefires and bring about reconciliation even in the midst of war. It is safe to argue that Unficyp's performance during the summer of 1974 was a highlight in UN peacekeeping history. A prime example of what devoted peacekeepers with limited resources can achieve in the face of grave adversity. In this respect, I would like to pay tribute to the dedication and determination of General Cheryl Pearce of India, Unficyp's first commander at the time. He was instrumental in leading his small team without fear and with devotion to the core values of the United Nations. They pushed to curb the worst excesses of the invading forces. They stood their ground and they set an example. Members of the force served the UN and Cypriot with courage, some giving their lives during their service. In specific, Austrian peacekeepers were killed when the Turkish Air Force bombarded their vehicle carrying the UN flag. Also, Australian peacekeepers lost their lives from a mine in the area of Lebanon. And their sacrifice is not forgotten, and the Republic of Cyprus remains grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, in the immediate aftermath of the Turkish invasion, Unficyp assisted the High Commissioner for Refugees, the ICRC, and other international organizations in relief efforts. They rendered assistance to the victims, provided humanitarian relief to the displaced, facilitated deliveries of medical and food supplies, and worked for the location of missing persons as well as for the release of prisoners. To this day, Unficyp exercises its humanitarian mandate to facilitate normal living conditions for the Greek Cypriots and Maronites that remain enclaved in the occupied areas of Cyprus. And in implementing its mandate for the prevention of a recurrence of fighting, the force assumed the supervision of the 180-kilometer-long ceasefire line. While there has been no conflict since 1974, peace remains elusive. And Unficyp retains its significance in maintaining the ceasefire on the island, preventing escalation and protecting civilians. Yet, the conflict is not frozen. Turkish occupation remains a painful reality, an ongoing violation of public international law, a constant reminder that the member state of this organization faces on a daily basis the existential threat of the aggressor. The attacks against members of the force last August, which the international community and the Security Council have condemned in the strongest possible terms, as well as recent forward movements of the occupying forces, are manifestations of the ongoing challenges. Time tends to blur the memory, and perceptions soon follow. Balancing, seeing shades of gray, sharing of blame, all these are to be expected if, and only if, we decide to forget why this great organization exists, what it represents, what are its founding values. Compliance and dedication to the UN Charter, to public international law, to international legality in general, are not and cannot be optional or linked to time. Not unless we want to undermine the most important international organization that exists. The UN cannot be selective. The UN cannot be threatened. The UN cannot water down the principles for which servicemen and women have sacrificed their lives. And at the end of the day, the facts are simple. An invasion took place. There is a victim and an aggressor. There is a state that is a member of this great organization and an illegal entity that is a product of aggression. The median line or the landing zone of equal distance is dangerous, and it should not be associated in any way or form with the United Nations. Dear friends, today, from the heart of the UN, I wish to express our sincere appreciation to the thousands of men and women who have served and continue to serve for the benefit of peace in Cyprus. I wish to express also the gratitude of the Republic of Cyprus and of all Cypriots to the United Nations and to the 43, soon to become 44, true contributing countries. I would also ask you to join me in paying tribute to all 187 peacekeepers who have lost their lives while serving in Cyprus. And in a few moments, we will be able to visit the photographic exhibition which is dedicated to the 6 decades of operation of UNFICYP. We will witness the multifaceted role of UNFICYP and the invaluable contributions of the military, civilian, and police peacekeepers, which encapsulates the spirit of collective action in the service of peace. This depiction of history also serves as a reminder that we are still facing significant and serious challenges. And we need soon to put an end to UNFICYP's presence in Cyprus. And the only way to do it is through the solution of the Cyprus problem. And as a result of that, the unification of our country. It's our wish, our hope, our commitment. This will be the best expression of gratitude to the 150,000 men and women that have served in the force, gratitude to the UN, and to all the contributing countries. And we remain forever grateful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister. I now turn to Major General, who is very well known in the world of peacekeeping, so it needs no introduction. Major General Cheryl Pearce was appointed Deputy Military Advisor for Peacekeeping Operations in January 2024. With over 35 years of military experience, she also serves as the Deputy Chief of the Army of the Australian Defence Forces. And we had the pleasure of having her as a Force Commander of Unficyp from 2019 to 2021. Major General, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Minister of Foreign Affairs, Combos, Your Excellency, Ambassador McKelly, distinguished representatives of Member States, friends and colleagues. It is wonderful to be able to join you today, and at the invitation of the Republic of Cyprus, we gather to commemorate a significant milestone in the history of the United Nations, the 60th anniversary of the United Nations Peacekeeping Force in Cyprus, or better known as Unficyp. As mentioned, in 1964, the United Nations established Unficyp in response to the intercommunal violence that erupted on the island. The mission was mandated to prevent further fighting, to contribute to the restoration of law and order and return to normal conditions to Cyprus. 60 years later, Unficyp is one of the longest running peacekeeping missions in the United Nations history, reflecting the complexity and the sensitivity of the situation in Cyprus. Over this period, some 150,000 uniformed personnel from 43 countries have served the cause of peace in Cyprus. And sadly, 187 peacekeepers made the ultimate sacrifice for peace. I'm also grateful to all the troop and police contributing countries for their long-standing commitment. We honour the memories of our fallen colleagues and pay tribute to those who continue to serve. Unficyp's deployment is part of the 76,000-strong United Nations body of peacekeepers who serve humanity's highest ideal, ensuring peace and security around the globe. Day in and day out, at great personal risk, these women and men bravely work in some of the most dangerous and unstable places on earth to protect civilians, uphold human rights, support elections, and strengthen institutions. They are part of a long tradition. For over 75 years, United Nations peacekeepers have supported communities rocked by conflict and upheaval across 71 missions. And ladies and gentlemen, today's Unficyp is quite different from one that was deployed in 1964. We have many more women amongst our military, police and civilian ranks now, and I'm proud to say that Unficyp is one of the leading UN peacekeeping missions on gender inclusion. Unficyp's work remains as vital as ever. Preserving stability across the buffer zone is an important achievement in and of itself, in addition to creating the conditions for a political solution. And while we celebrate the achievements of Unficyp, we must acknowledge that the ultimate goal of a comprehensive and lasting solution to the Cyprus problem remains elusive. 60 years is a long time, longer than peacekeeping was intended to be needed. Therefore, this anniversary is a reminder of the need for the sides to redouble their efforts for once and for all to resolve the Cyprus issue. The UN will continue to support these efforts. In closing, the anniversary of Unficyp is not only a moment of reflection, but also an opportunity to reaffirm our commitment to peacekeeping and conflict resolution. The lessons learned from Cyprus are invaluable as we confront other complex conflicts around the world. We must continue to invest in diplomacy, dialogue and development, recognising that peace is not merely the absence of war, but the presence of justice, equality and the opportunity for all. More broadly, for our peacekeepers to respond to the challenges of today and tomorrow, they need the world's support. September's Summit of the Future will be a moment for countries to carry ideas forward on how to recommit to and reinvigorate multilateralism, with peacekeeping remaining one of its critical tools. As we look ahead, let us be inspired by the legacy of Unficyp and renew our collective resolve to build a world where peace and security prevail. Thank you. And just in closing, I will offer a couple of personal reflections. It was a real privilege to be selected to be the Force Commander of Unficyp, and very proud as an Australian to serve under, in my uniform, under the UN flag, and to represent what I believe in the global peace and security, as I do today. Landing on the island and leading a force of over 14 nations in a multinational force as part of a multilateral approach with civilians, police and the broader UN country team to prevent a reoccurrence of fighting, to retain the law and order and a return to civil conditions, to normal conditions, is not simple. It is complex. It takes a whole of concerted effort, not just by the mission, but by the regional and global community to do so. And it is my wish, and having had the opportunity to be back in Cyprus in March to commemorate the anniversary on the day, it is my wish that we can continue to work to resolve the Cyprus problem and to identify a lasting political solution. And I also take a moment to reflect on the 187 who made the ultimate sacrifice in the service of global peace and security. Thank you.
Thank you, Major General. And now I have the honor to invite you all to join us to see the photographic exhibition.